Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. Welcome to another edition of Florida Makes This webinar series. This is Ruth Buchanan, your host for this wonderful program that is steadily growing in the state of Florida. We're very happy to be bringing you this webinar series that helps Florida manufacturers increase their productivity and technological performance. Today's edition is about a very important topic, really essential. This is a critical component for Florida manufacturers and other companies as well, is building a future-ready workforce. Workforce is critical. It has been a top topic for really the past year. So we are here today to present to you our own program, and happy to be joined by two of our companies to share their experience as well. So building a future-ready workforce, how Florida manufacturers can become employers of choice. Keep that in mind, EOC, employers of choice. Next slide, please. And it is my role, oh, that's me. You can move along. It is my role to tell you a little bit about FloridaMakes. We are, as I said, we are your state manufacturing extension partnership. That is our mission and vision. Productivity and technological performance are two of the really qualitative description of KPIs for Florida manufacturers, right? So we help you increase those two features of your manufacturing. It is our vision to be recognized as the leader for strengthening and advancing Florida's manufacturing economy. Why? Because as someone with an economics background, the impact multiplier for manufacturing is by far the largest one across all industries. Next slide, please. And how do we do that? We help manufacturers through these 6 bullets that we put together for you. I already talked about technology acceleration and innovation. That is very important. Both of these companies actually have a lot of, 2 slides back. A lot of these companies have already technology in their capabilities. Cybersecurity and IP is important. November 15th, there is a video up on our YouTube channel. Please watch that. CMMC is a big one. Supply chain optimization, performance assessment. Today is workforce training. And then business growth and financial services. The tariff discussion kind of falls in that, ladies and gentlemen. So we continue to bring you all of these services. Next slide, please. And I think, yeah, today's takeaways is a lot. This is jam-packed once again. You can all see the slide. The program is employer of choice. It's really a data-driven decision-making tool to attract and retain. Very important. Both are important, right? You attract your employees and you retain them because God knows you spend so much to recruit them. Please keep them and retain them. So that's what this tool is about. You can all see that. This is what we hope to bring to you today. There's 6 bullets in there. Bottom line is productivity. Increase your productivity, lessen the worry about keeping your employees. And let's go ahead and move on to the next slide. I think at this point, I am pleased and honored to bring you my teammate, Marcelo Dos Santos, who is our Director for Workforce Development here at FloridaMakes. And then we are so grateful for these 2 gentlemen to be joining us. Tim McKindle, sorry if I'm mispronouncing your last name, Tim. He is the director of a wonderful company down where I used to work. I used to work in Lee County, Tim, you're in Cape Coral. So ecological laboratories, amazing technology that they use there to help improve, just take care of the environment and all of these highly complicated chemical issues and environmental issues that our companies face. And then, of course, the other Marcelo Canitano, who is the owner of 2 amazing companies. Yeah, he's right there. Silver Horse Racing and Space Coast Precision. They are here. These 2 gentlemen are here to speak to you from the heart on how these programs work and what it has meant for them. So I will go ahead and transition. Go ahead and show the agenda slide, please, Marielle. And Marcelo Dos Santos, you are taking it from here, correct? Marcelo, where are you? I don't see your screen. While we're waiting on Marcelo to show himself, ladies and gentlemen, this is the agenda we have for you today. So we've done the welcome and introduction. Our Marcelo dos Santos will go ahead and give a program overview of employer of choice, including the vessel platform capabilities. Vessel in this particular instance, ladies and gentlemen, is the platform that we are using to provide you the program. And then the next bullet is the industry insight from Tim and Marcelo. And then we will recap and the call to action. And then we hope to get some good questions from you so we can address them at the live Q&A. We have 52 minutes. Marcelo dos Santos, go ahead and take about 10 minutes to talk about the employer of choice.
Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate it. Thank you. So yeah, good morning, everybody. And thank you so much for being here today. This is an important conversation about workforce excellence and the FloridaMakes Manufacturing Employer of Choice program. I'm excited to introduce you a unique opportunity designed specifically for Florida manufacturers who are committed to strengthening their workplace, improving employee engagement, and standing out as top employers in the industry. The Employer of Choice program provides manufacturers with the tools and insights needed to benchmark their current workforce practices, identify opportunities for growth, and foster a culture that attracts and retains skilled talent. Through a comprehensive assessment and built-in employee engagement survey, this initiative offers actionable data that supports real improvements in recruitment, retention, and overall job quality. Today, I'll walk you through the value of becoming an employer of choice, how the assessment works, and the potential of your company to be recognized as a Make More Manufacturing at the Make More Manufacturing Summit later this year. So going through here, I think the first slide, is that the first slide, Marielle? Yes. Yeah, there we go. I put this quote on here. Edward Deming is actually credited with, "In God we trust, all others bring data." And that specifically showcases the importance of having measurements and using data analysis to make informed decisions. Slide control.
Do you want to check the video on?
Yeah. Go ahead. There we go. So on the screen, we have, this is a revised study by Deloitte and the Manufacturing Institute. They actually projected 3.8 million manufacturing new jobs being needed by 2033. But out of those 3.8 million, only 1.9 million of those will go unfilled because of the lack of skilled workers or applicants out in the marketplace. Slide control again. And the skills gap is becoming such a big issue. McKinsey in 2023 reported that nearly 75% of manufacturers have issues with and are struggling to find workers with the technical skills necessary to actually perform the job. So what makes an employer, a company employer of choice? Something went wrong with the... What makes a company employer of choice? It is an organization that actually both current workers and prospective employees recognize as a great place to work, right? People gravitate to it. People want to be there. People want their friends to work there, their families to work there. That is what is an employer of choice, that ability to attract and retain talent as you move forward with conducting business on a day-to-day basis. So what is the business case to participate in the employer choice program? Companies that prioritize employee experience outperform competitors in revenue growth, innovation, and operational efficiency. A strong reputation as an employer of choice attracts talent without excessive recruitment costs. And investing in workforce development and employee satisfaction, of course, leads to higher retention, lower turnover rates, and production efficiency, right? And the one element that the program does have is the ability to benchmark data. So year after year, year over year, you have the capability of actually looking at the reports and seeing where you stand, what the shortfalls are, and making informed decisions based on the data that you have into the platform. And of course, what we're trying to do is make sure that companies out there are creating great places to work, so that way you are recognized as a Florida manufacturing employer of choice, because that in itself brings the capability of you showcasing what your company is, the great work that you guys do, and attracting new talent and top talent to actually work in your organization. Why become an employer of choice matters. Of course, these are the points we already talked about. Reduce turnover, increase productivity, attract the best talent. And as some studies have shown, 21% higher profitability occurs from those companies that are employers of choice, and 17% report higher productivity because of that designation. So what is in the assessment? Let's take a look at this. So there are 6 sections to it. The first one is recruitment, hiring, turnover, growth, and promotion, which is 20% of the score of companies participating. That contains 9 questions. Then you have an upskilling section, which is 20% of the score and is 4 questions. Benefits at 15%, and you can see there 15% for benefits. So some companies think automatically, it's the companies that actually have the highest pay and the highest amount of benefits that actually make as employers of choice. That is not necessarily true. There are many aspects of making a great place to work. So benefits only count for 15% of the actual total score. Worker financial wellness, that is 15%. Employee support and working environment also has a 20% rate there. So individuals, do you have a safe environment for your companies? Do you offer things like flexible work schedules that actually make employees stay around and work with you? And workforce engagement. Does the employee have a voice at your organization? And we'll go over the employee engagement survey a little bit later. So on the employee engagement survey portion, so the actual program has there's two assessments in it, right? There's calculating the metrics or gathering the metrics for him, they're HR related, and then the other one is actually getting the voice of the employee. So it is based on the Budget Performance of Excellence program. And this is are we making progress for employees? There is a leadership version of this assessment that I did not include in the overall platform this year, but it's something I'm considering for next year. So that way you can compare the answers coming from leadership with the answers coming in from the employees at your workplace. So it provides you, if you go back one, please, it provides you with a quick workforce assessment tool, right? It is not actually measuring the culture of the organization, but it has the 7 key areas in Budget Excellence program, which is leadership, strategy, customers, measurement, workforce, and operations. So there's several questions that are related to those topics. They're on a Likert scale, right? That you actually score, as the employees take the survey. So this aligns workforce and leadership views for target improvements, identifies communication gaps, and engagement opportunities, and it supports innovation and strategic agility, meaning that the information that you get from there helps you to actually make informed decisions. They're associated with you making decisions for your organization on the topics at hand. Next. And so we actually have a dedicated platform for this program now. used to be that you had to go to a third-party provider and enter the information there. You had no data ownership. This new version of the program is through Vessel Scale, which is a smart assessment platform that actually provides a portal. So once you actually log in, create your profile, you have a actual portal where all your assessments will be housed. So you have access to that data year over year, and you can actually create benchmarks, like I mentioned earlier, and take the steps necessary to actually deal with some of the shortfalls that you've been having as in your organization. It streamlines report generation, and it provides you with actionable insights because of the data that's being entered. So the challenge for us was the one thing that I mentioned, the data ownership and storage, right? Before you took the survey, but or the assessment, and you had no access to the prior year's data. This, of course, has been eliminated. Now that is in there, and as I mentioned before, benchmarking over time will make you take a look at the data and see what steps can be taken in order to actually deal with some of the issues that you may be having and make improvements on the process. Next. So Vessel Scale, Vessel Technology partnered with us earlier this year, and then it's almost been a year now. We had to actually put everything together, create the platform from scratch, and that actually became the program that we have in the system to date. And of course, we're always looking for feedback. If those of you that have participated or that have gone in there, I know that both companies that are on the call today were beta testers of the program, provided us with valuable feedback that we used to incorporate and make sure that things would be at least in the format that we need them going forward. Again, the platform, helped us automate the workforce survey process. It's an innovative platform focused on key workforce metrics and empowers the data of usage, right? If you have real data, real insights, you can actually make informed decisions and create solutions for your organization. So what is in the assessment? You can see a little snippet of there. This is the first page encounter when you log on. You can see the Florida Manufacturing Employer of Choice. We'll give a brief explanation what the program is about. And then you go through the platform, with each question, and we'll give you insights on what that question is about, what we're trying to measure. We'll give you the formulas that you need to calculate the data, so that way you can actually go ahead and start putting the data in. And by the way, the survey opened on April 1st, but you have until September 1st in order to actually complete the assessment. Again, you can see some of the information that's contained within the platform. It does give insightful data collection for data-driven decision-making. If you haven't picked up on the pattern yet, data-driven decision-making is at the core of what we're discussing here, making sure that you have those data points in order to make improvements year over year, right? And at the end, you get a comprehensive report. So I think the report at the last count was about 30-something pages, 32 or 33 pages, which actually gives you a current state of where you are, and then gives you suggestions for future state improvements that you can make with your company in order to, to make those improvements and become, great places to work. Again, some of the analytics are on there, and the 6 measurements, they're actually the 6 sections that are actually being measured. You can see the scoring on there on the screen. It's in each question, if you remember, the 20%, 15%, and it shows how each company has actually scored as they finish completion of the actual assessment. It gives you a granular breakdown and provides opportunities to actually look at the gap analysis that you have and make decisions to improve upon those. And the thought is, right, if you begin the assessment, you actually go through the information, you figure out what the shortfalls are, and that will lead for you to become an employer of choice. So being recognized an employer of choice at some point in time in the future, you could be that you are an employer of choice at this point. So we encourage you to go ahead and start taking the survey. There is a QR code there that you can actually, scan and go through and start entering information in the platform. Again, you have until September 1st in order to complete the actual survey.
Thank you so much, Marcelo, for doing what's difficult to do, is putting together a wonderful, robust program in several slides and doing it in about 11 minutes. So we appreciate you doing that for us, Marcelo. At this point, we ask our two panelists to go ahead and click on their video and their audio. Tim and Marcelo, go ahead and turn on your video and your audio. So now is the time for our attendees to hear from both of you. Marcelo dos Santos, who do you want to go first between the two? Should they do rock, paper, scissors?
Let's pick one the other, Marcelo.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning.
Good morning, Marcelo. If you want to give a little brief overview of what your company is and what you do and how you came to be involved with FloridaMakes and the employer of choice assessment, that'd be fantastic.
Sure. Silver Horse Racing and Space Coast Precision started out years and years ago in the automotive aftermarket. We started with one product out of our house 20 years ago. We now have a 12,000 square foot facility in Melbourne. We have 12 employees working 2 shifts a day, and we produce products and components for everything from deep sea water testing to stuff for the space program and everything in between. We originally got into FloridaMakes years and years ago, I think, with the lean programs and some of the one day away from work things. And then over the years, we've worked more and more with FloridaMakes to learn about what it is we can do better as an employer, to not only make life better for our employees, but to make life better for all of us. Because if everybody's here and they're happy, there's a greater chance that we're going to get our job done in the course of a day. We have the distinction of winning the FloridaMakes Employer of Choice Award in 2022. And the first year, I don't know if that was the first year it was even being done, but we filled out the forms and then didn't really think much of it, and then got a phone call, hey, you guys are a winner. And I was like, really? I'm like, how do we manage that? And so we then were able to get the data after the event, and then we're able to look at that and start understanding not only what were the questions we're really asking, because I didn't quite understand what they were asking in the beginning, but now I kind of get a much better picture of it. And that made me start thinking, what can we do better as an employer? Where are we good? Where are we not so good? Where do we have room to improve? And from there, it became a thing where now we're looking at the data going, hey, do we have an onboarding process? Sort of, kind of. Maybe we should work on that a little bit. So these are the kind of things we work on now.
Thank you, Marcelo. Yeah, that is fantastic. You guys were a winner in the small business category. I think it's 1 to 50 employees back in 2022. But you're absolutely right. In winning is a testament, showcasing, compared to your peers, the strategies you had implemented in-house and how that compared to the overall marketplace, with the numbers, your turnover numbers and everything else. And that is why you guys came on top. And I think at that year we recognized 3 small manufacturers in the 1 to 50 category. And now maybe we should turn over to Tim. Tim, do you want to go ahead and give us a brief overview of Vehicle Laboratories and your involvement with Employer of Choice also, and the strides you guys have made in creating a great place to work?
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much, Marcelo, and thank you very much, Ruth, for inviting me today. and telling you a little something about ecological laboratories. So we are based in Southwest Florida. We have roughly 62 employees. I'd say 52 of them are on site, and we just have one main campus. And really what we do is we grow, bottle, package, wrap, ship bacteria. And before you recoil or anything like that, it's not bad bacteria. It's not anything that's going to infect you or anything like this. This is bacteria that you add to either fresh water, salt water, in our canals, in wastewater treatment that breaks down the things you don't want there and makes them into things that you do want there. It also adds and enriches and breaks down nutrients within soil. And the most recent product that we've got at Ecological Laboratories is a product that you add to farm waste, which would be sheep, cow, pig, manure, and it breaks that down and you get a couple different byproducts. One's carbon dioxide and the other one's methane. You might have gone past someplace and seen this big flume of methane that we burn here in the United States. Well, over in Northern Ireland and Poland and Germany, they use that methane to heat commercial and residential homes. The same thing as natural gas. And so it's a very natural way to take things you don't want and make it into something you do want. And it's all natural, it's not chemical. Like I said, it's all bacterial, and it's a consortium of different bacterias that eat these nutrients and create these nutrients. So that's what we do on a global scale, but then bringing it home a little bit more is, the benefits I see of the great place to work, employer of choice, and everything else. And I have been part of the FloridaMakes in its infancy here, and helping and assisting, answering, and responding back with any suggestions or comments. But also, my background has been more, and in manufacturing, a lot of times you think United States, who's a big manufacturer, and you look at Michigan or Detroit, and that's where I grew up. That's where I worked for 25 years in manufacturing and professional services. And so I've been part of these, like Detroit metro area and some of the others that have the employer of choice or the best place to work or anything else. And we've won a number of those awards, but the real benefit is not just the award. It's almost like a trophy if you're in sports. It's great and everything else. You want to hold it high, but it's only good for 1 year. But the results last a lifetime. And that's really where the teeth are. That's where the rubber hits the road, as they say, is, as Marcelo just mentioned, you take the data and think, well, how do I go ahead and make, a great employer even better? We just go ahead and tweak something. How do I reduce turnover if that's the case? Do I need to add different benefits? I mean, through my career, I think through all of our careers, we've always looked at benefits are good, but not necessarily a motivator. A lot of times, benefit packages are more of a cost of admission. That's something you give to skilled employees. That's something you give to executive. It's something you give to individuals and entry-level positions, to make sure that they're safe, secure, comfortable for they and their families. The other big part of that is, what do you do for future growth? Now, once again, you just can't simply throw money at everyone because that's not necessarily the answer. You have to, pay for performance. You have to pay for skills, and that's a big thing. And the other part of it, like we're just talking about benefits and compensation, a lot of us would just say, money's not necessarily a motivator. It's just a message. And the example I give to a lot of people is that, like say you're sitting at a table with 4 or 5 people, and you give the first 3 $20 each, $20 each, $20. But then and they're happy. They're saying, "Hey, thanks for giving me $20." And then all of a sudden you give the next person $50. And all of a sudden those people are looking at the $20. It's like, "Hey, wait a minute. You just, you took advantage of me. What's going on?" So that motivator all of a sudden became a demotivator. So like I said, it's a message that comes out there. And I think that's what we as employers, that's what we as individuals that are in many cases vying for a similar skill set or a population of employees, so many times that's what we're in competition, friendly competition, but it's still a competition with each other. And you've got to know what the price of admission is. And I think even more so, you have to know where do you want to put those resources that you have that are scarce to the best value. As Marcelo C. said a moment ago, a lot of it is manufacturing or lean manufacturing. A lot of it's maybe Six Sigma and some of these other aspects. Well, that's fantastic and actually involves and engages your employees, which is critical. But it also leads to the bottom line. And you saw one of the early statistics, 17% more productive, a certain percentage, more effective, more engaged, and everything else. And I think that's really what we're shooting for is an engaged workforce that's going to contribute to the bottom line, not only for the owners and the shareholders, but for each employee, him or herself as well.
Tim, that's a great segue for the next question that I have is you mentioned the $20 and $50. So what strategies have you found most effective for attracting skilled talent in a competitive marketplace that we see today?
Okay, well, I'll go ahead and jump on first. And like I mentioned, it's money, but it's really finding out what that individual does. So everything's a negotiation. Once again, a lot of my background has been professional services, but it's also been in what I'll refer to as blue collar. And sometimes, like I said, in the Rust Belt, the Midwest, there's a lot of union, non-union, everything else. I've been on both sides of it. But really, even with those positions and everything else, you've got to speak with the individual, him or herself, and find what's important to them. Are they really looking for another $2 an hour? Or are they looking for, geez, I've got a small family. I'm really interested in health benefits, dental, vision. My kids are getting to that age where they're going to have braces. I really want dental insurance. Is life insurance important to them? Is, as the survey says, childcare. Do you provide childcare services or some sort of a subsidy? With a young family, I'll tell you what, my wife, for many, many years, she actually ran a daycare. And so I know how expensive that can be. So for a young family, you can go ahead and offer them a subsidy and have them, have childcare, preschool, whatever it happens to be. But it's very costly, very expensive. So whatever you can do to offset that expense is, critical and important. And that's a hook for that person. Once again, it's a differentiating factor that you as an employer will have. Another aspect for, maybe the person doesn't have children, but they've got pets. I mean, we see that more and more and more every day. So one of the benefits that actually we didn't really look for, but they were offered to us, it's veterinary care, which is virtual. It's kind of like doctor on demand or one of these other, video doctors, but they do it for animals, pets, dogs, cats. And we've got some employees that said that's not the reason I came there. I wanted to work at Ecological Labs, but that was the cherry on top or the whipped cream or whatever it happened to be. It was that, that final factor, like I said, that allowed us to set the hook. So I'm not sure if I answered the question, but I'll be quiet for a minute.
You actually did. That is very interesting about the televet program. That's interesting. We bounce back to Marcel. Marcel, I know you have a small team there, and it's same question. I am sure you have no issues in retaining the employees that you have because it's such a great place to work. But do you have any insights on effective ways of attracting new talent in your organization?
Sure. So for us, it's a little different. We're a specialized CNC machine shop. And so the skill set a lot of times is missing from people coming out of high school, college, things of that nature. And so what we've really worked hard with was getting the talent in the door in the first place and realizing that the talent isn't always going to have the skill set we need, and so we have to train for that skill set. And to that end, we work with the local high school, we work with career source provider, we work with a couple other organizations to bring in talent or people that don't necessarily have the skills we need right this moment, but they have the ability to learn, they have the desire to learn, and they want to get into the manufacturing. And so we bring them in from scratch, basically, a lot of times very green, as you would say, and teach those skills. One of the nice things about that is that we have the ability to not end up with everybody having the I know best. I've done it this way for 15, 20 years, and why am I going to change? Well, a lot of the people we have don't have that outside chip on their shoulder, and therefore we can bring them in through our culture and our company way of doing things, and we don't have to deal with that so much. Now, the flip of that is we still do need some senior experienced people that have some skill sets that they've developed over years and years. And with those people, we try to empower them with the, hey, look, this is how we do things here. I want you to do it this way and try it. Now, if you have a better way, I want to see it, because I'm always open to that. Over the years, the way we do things today is not the way we did things 15, 20 years ago. It's not even the same way we did things 10 years ago. And so getting the people engaged in they'll come to me and they'll say, hey, I see how you're drilling this hole, but if you changed it with this tool and you use this one instead, you might get a better result. Plus, this tool can do this job as well. And I'd be like, okay, let's give it a try. We've always used this tool to do it, but I'm not opposed to trying, and it's not a big expense to try normally. So, let's give it a shot and see where it goes. And sometimes it works out for the best. Sometimes it's so-so. But that alone, having that engagement where people know that you're listening to them and that you're willing to hear their ideas, even from the people that don't have the experience, come on, let's see what you're doing. Why are you doing it this way? Well, I thought I'd do this. Okay, well, let's give that a shot. Let's see it. And if it's better, then let's adapt to it. And then that becomes the way we do things.
Okay.
Marcelo,
Yes.
go ahead, Tim.
Oh,
And then I
thanks.
have a
If I could-
follow-up question.
Thanks. If I could just go ahead and support exactly what you had just said, Marcelo, it's so critical that employees see some sort of a career progression. I think that's a huge selling point that's here. Like, for example, I worked with one CNC manufacturer, and what we developed was like a step program where you had a machine operator 1, 2, and 3. Then you had professional machine operator 1, 2, and 3. And each one of them had some compensable factors associated with it. It would have been, okay, at one level, you're actually just running the machine. At the next level, and these all had compensation bands associated with it. And the next level, you actually went in and you began troubleshooting. If a machine was miscalibrated or was broken down, or you all of a sudden you knew how to fix the machine when it was broken down, because that's the most time consuming and expensive part, is if someone's just standing there and the machine isn't running. So all of a sudden you've got that progression, and these employees know that, all right, how come you're not paying me, X amount of dollars? And you're saying, well, you need to demonstrate these skills to me. And one of the top levels is exactly what Marcelo said, is a person that's going to add value by commenting and maybe adjusting processes, not only for him or herself, but for others at that level and everything else. So, and one of it's mentoring younger, or should I say less experienced machine operators. So I just wanted to support what Marcelo said, is that's key, that's paramount, as far as employees have to see some sort of career growth for them to be engaged and buy into where you're going as an employer. Oh, and
That's
also
awesome.
Marcelo, you got the coolest office I've ever seen. So I'm sorry, that's it. I had to say
I'm going to take the camera over and zoom up on them pretty soon.
it.
That's awesome. Marcelo dos Santos, I apologize. I'm going to interject here because there's an important or timely question in the Q&A. So for Tim and Marcelo Canitano, thank you for sharing basically your retention efforts and how you're continuously improving, how you retain your employees. Feedback is great. So thank you. The question is, and I know manufacturers, we have been so good at this in the last years. The question is, what are some of the creative ideas or best practices in finding talent? So we're talking about recruitment. I know you guys have done many things, partnerships, different programs, tapping into different areas where the workers are, but please go ahead and, Tim, go ahead and start, and then Marcelo, please.
All right, well, thank you, and it's a very good question. And it really, once again, it kind of depends on the position you're looking for. If it's an entry-level position, I think we have a couple different things that we put in place. One's an employee referral program. And once again, if you've got a friend at work that's willing to go ahead and put his or her name on the line for an employee, then that speaks well. But once again, that just invites that person into the process to be interviewed. And the interview is a very important part of it as well. Another thing we do, and we do have like a $500 reward for the a referring employee, as well as $500 for the new hire if they come in that way, split in two $250 payments over time. So that's one. The other thing is I'm very frugal. So a lot of times I'll just go ahead and post a position on Indeed, which is a free site. You know, if you can sponsor if you want, but I don't really see a need to sponsor it because I just posted an entry-level position 2 weeks ago. I had probably 23 candidates. Now, granted, probably eight of them were qualified. Once again, it's entry level, but someone who had some factory or warehouse experience. And so we call them in. We have a very rigorous interview process, ask them very specific questions, and it's typically a team of 2 individuals that don't ask the same question over again. We have questions that we specifically assign that interviewer, and then we actually have answers that we score, meaning we have the optimal answer. This is what we want to hear, and we score either, you know, a 0 if the employee didn't even come close to that, a 1 if they're somewhat close to it, or a 2 or a 3 if they nailed that answer. So going into it with what you want, I mean, once again, any road will take you there if you don't know where you're going. So go ahead and build that road, you know, define that road and see what that end result comes like. So I think it's a big part is recruiting. That's the Indeed, that's the word of mouth. But the biggest part is during the interview process so that those individuals you bring on board, you're not replacing in a month or 2 months or 3 months. Okay.
Thank you, Tim. Marcelo, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, in our case, so my senior shop manager, he came to us 17 years ago. He was my first employee. He's still with us today. And he came over from the construction industry. So in our case, what we look for a lot of times is, again, because it's hard to find people with the specific skill set we're looking for people that can actually learn, looking for people that can actually adapt to the situations. And having somebody like him, and kind of to what Tim said, when I do an interview, I'm typically the first one to interview the person, and then I hand them off and I just sit down and listen while they're asked questions from not only my shop manager, but from my senior programmer. And if I need to, anybody else that I want to just have in on the conversation. And again, that one empowers my senior level staff to know that their input is valid. And of course, if things go sideways, then it's on them as well. But it also shows that in the case of, you know, they look at somebody and they go, hey, this guy's got it, or this guy doesn't have it. Okay, well, I saw something different, but I'm listening, and then we go from there. And, you know, again, it goes back to the bringing in the people that we feel we can best work with, not always the one with the most skill level, but the one that's most adaptable and can learn. You know, I have a young lady that works for us now. She came in from one of the school programs in Polk County, and she came to us with she had like a 12-week program, and she could answer all the technical basic questions. But then I was like, well, have you been in front of a machine? Oh no, we didn't get there. And it's like, but she was like, I'll do whatever it takes. Let me have a chance. Nobody even wants to talk to me. And I was like, that hit me a little bit to where I was like, hey, we're going to give you a shot. Now, what you do with it is up to you, but we'll give you the shot to try. And she's been with us now. Oh gosh, she's been with us over a year now. So, she's learning the ropes, and there again, sometimes you find the fit isn't always even in the beginning. You find that we put her on the turning centers at first, and it come to find out she actually works better on the milling side of the shop. Even though they're same, they're different, and she ends up liking that side better. So sometimes you let people fall into what they like, because as they gain experience, because we walk them through the whole shop, we don't just pigeonhole them in one spot. We give them training in all aspects, a basic level, and then we start trying to specialize them a little bit. But there again, if their specialty falls somewhere else, then we try to adapt to that situation as well. I don't know if that answered the question either, but that's what we do, Ruth.
I just got to throw in there, we at Florida Makes, we were participating in the Pathways of Opportunity grant, and we still have about 2.5 months left of funding. But in this iteration of the grant, we actually have contracted Orion Talent, which works with veteran populations and transitioning them to manufacturing companies in the state of Florida. So we actually cover the cost of the recruitment and placement of the individual. So for manufacturers out there, they're looking for talent, please let us know. Put the link in the actual chat there so you have access to it. But again, we'll pay for the actual cost. So we'll cover the cost of recruitment and placement. The only caveat is that the individual has to go into an apprenticeship program, which we do have 4 registered programs that they can go into. And Marcelo, I know that you are participating in our apprenticeship programs, and others out there that may be on the call use it as a way to upskill their incumbent workforces. So please take advantage of it.
Marcelo, is that the Veterans Florida program, the veteransflorida.org program, or is that a different program?
This is different. So yeah, actually it is, we call it the Veteran Advantage is a title we gave it. Basically, like I mentioned, we contact Orion Talent, which does nothing but recruit veterans. They have recruiters throughout bases in the US, and they have a global footprint actually. And what they do is try to actually, they recruit this individual, say we have a position for you, possible position in the state of Florida with a manufacturer. They actually make the connection, you do the interview with the individual, and then if you think it's a go, you go ahead and make the offer, and then we move on to enroll them in an apprenticeship program.
Beautiful. Thank you.
The link is in the chat. Thank you.
Marcelo, this is Ruth. I think we're entered Q&A, so I will go ahead and direct your attention. There is a important long question that I sent you, but basically it's the confidentiality of the information that is entered into the portal, which we understand your concern, whoever posted this anonymously. So we understand your concern, and then the ability to review what we will share publicly if we do use their information. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yes, so the portal is uniquely catered to each company that's in there, right? So there is no, the data that's in the system, it's for you only. FloridaMakes does have access to the data, but it's not shared. It is your data. Data ownership belongs to the companies that participate. And there is no sharing of data. So even when the report is actually created in the final product, right? Let's say when the actual survey closes, the assessment closes on September 1st, it is anonymized. So all you're comparing is this is your company and this is the rest of the market. So there is no specific company names. There's nothing there that actually showcases the data. So you're just comparing the data points on each of the categories, but not providing any company information. So all that is anonymized, so there is no sharing of data. So the portal is unique to each company. It's segmented. There's a firewall there. So it's just there is no mingling of data at all. So there's no way for the data to be shared with other companies, if that makes any sense.
Mhm. And can you also reconfirm that there is no cost to participate on
That
this?
is correct. Yeah, there's no cost to participate in a program. We're actually utilizing a grant to offset the cost to manufacturers that participate. All we're trying to do is make sure that these great places to work are being created throughout the state of Florida to ensure that you retain your workforce, right? You can better attract your workforce, you can retain workforce, because at the end of the day, they'll lead to higher productivity throughout the state and move manufacturing along in the state. So that's what we're looking for.
And a follow-up question I will try and answer. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. So to the person, yes, once we identify opportunities for improvement, FloridaMakes is here. You get the full staff, not just Marcelo's team, but everybody in the FloridaMakes staff, because we're here to help manufacturers. We will guide you and help you. But yes, there will be instances where if we have to recommend that you have one of our third-party providers implement some things for you, then there will be a cost at that point, and that is between you and the third-party provider working through our network. Correct, Marcelo?
That is correct. Yeah. So if there are any solutions that you need to implement, for example, you need leadership training, they may be a third-party provider in our network that offers that training, and that is between the company that needs that solution and the third-party provider if they so want to engage and move forward with that solution.
And again, this person said, no cost at all, not even to see the results. No, sir or ma'am. No, there are no costs. No, come on this one. No.
No, it's pretty much like our apprenticeship program. So we really wanted to remove that barrier to entry, so that way any manufacturer that wants to participate, small, medium, large, can go ahead and take advantage of it.
Okay, go ahead, Marcelo. Go back to your agenda. What else did you want our speakers to talk about? We have 6 minutes.
I think I have one final question, because I think this one encompasses everything. And if you guys can, what advice would you give other manufacturers that would like to become, an employer of choice? We'll start with Marcelo.
So to become an employer of choice, I would say that you have to get into the system, you have to enter the data. And if I'm understanding this correctly, now the employees can actually answer as well. Is that correct?
So yeah, so there's an employee engagement survey it's a secondary survey. They don't actually enter it. What happens is you get to a point when you complete the actual HR metrics portion, and you'll be provided with a link that you send to the employees, and then they will complete that employee engagement survey. And then that will come back to your own dashboard, and you have the actual view of what that is, and so you know what feedback is coming back. And by the way, that is anonymized. We don't have access to it. Only the company that participates actually sees the data coming in from the employees. And even the employees that respond, that's also anonymized. So that way you're just seeing what the answers are, but not what who actually answered.
See, I think that's going to be great. I don't think we had that a couple of years ago, and that's wonderful, because a lot of times you want to get some feedback from the employees that they otherwise wouldn't want to give. They're not going to come into the boss's office and just say certain things, but in that anonymous feature, they might want to. And I would say to do it, because, as a company, you should enter the data and stuff, because what you'll learn from it, even if you don't use it all on day one, you'll start absorbing it, and then it just bounces around in your head, where you're asking yourself questions going, hey, is this the best way to approach this, or is this the best way to do that? We had we had somebody come in and rattle the whole shop a few months ago, and it just got everybody thinking. And it was an unplanned thing that happened, but the end result was it made us start talking to each other in ways we wouldn't. And I think this survey with the employees is going to do the same thing. I think it's going to make it so that we have that conversation more. And as you have those conversations, you identify places you can learn from, identify things you can do better, and identify ways to help train your employees better. And from there, even if you're not a winner of the event, you're still a winner, because that data helps you become a better company.
Thank you, Marcelo. Tim, do you have any insights on that question?
Yes, first of all, Marcelo, spot on. I couldn't agree with you more. And the other part I think is number one is participate in the process. Go ahead and as Marcelo C just said, you might not win, but that's not where the true value is or anything like that. So participate is number one. And in addition, this is a legitimate test, a legitimate survey, legitimate process. There's others out there that like Great Place to Work Institute or whatever it happens to be that you can basically buy your way in to get the award. But the award isn't necessarily the end all, isn't necessarily the holy grail, isn't necessarily anything else. It's the data, as we started over and over here. So participate in the process. This is a legitimate, valid program to participate in. Get those results back. Whether you win or not isn't the key point. Take that data and just make baby steps, continuous improvement, and make your life, make your family, make your company just that much better each and every step with each and every improvement you make. Because a lot of times this is your family. You spend more time at work than you do at home, or and you want to treat people fairly. You want to treat them with respect, just like you want to be treated fairly and with respect. So first of all, take this test, take the program, let employees open it up and let employees respond back to get a true reflection of exactly who you are, what you are. I mean, this is the culture. Culture is defined as, what are those things that are rewarded and what are those things that are not rewarded. And a company has a culture, a county has a culture, a state has a culture, a country has a culture, a religion has a culture. We all have cultures, but these are company cultures. And that's really what you're defining, and that's really what you are tweaking to, make you the best employer or an employer of choice.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Tim. We're at the top of the hour. Ruth, you want to close us out? And I'd like to thank both guests.
Yes, yeah, thank you so much. Huge thanks to Marcelo C. and Tim this morning for joining us and helping share your experience with employer of choice. We really encourage and join all of our Florida manufacturers to participate in this no cost, I was going to say cost-free, but no cost program with FloridaMakes. The links are there. You'll get an email from me with follow-up information as well as useful links. And the slide, please, if you can show it. The key takeaways today, we hope that we were able to deliver to you what we promised to deliver about the program. It's data-driven. It helps make good, sustainable decisions. As Tim said, it helps build culture, which is super important. I know Marcelo, see your corporate culture is also so good. I heard it's a lot of fun too. You can tell from his background, it's a fun place to work. And Tim too, it's a very uplifting, fulfilling job to have with these two companies and many more. So use the tool. Marcelo dos Santos showed you the enhancements that we have made to the tool. We're so proud of this one because, again, the bottom line is it increases your profitability and productivity. So take use of that one. We want to remind you our next webinar, next slide, please. It's about a very important topic within the context of the tariff discussion. Let's talk about reshoring, particularly for our larger manufacturers that are exporting and importing. So let's go ahead and talk about reshoring. We're bringing you the preeminent speaker on the topic. Harry Moser is put together a not-for-profit entity called Reshoring Initiative. We will have him on May 2nd. That's also Friday. Please register. And then next slide, please. We ask you to engage with our business advisors. We have professionals that have been in this space for many years that are here to help you. Please make sure you engage with us. And I'm going to give a couple moments to Marcelo dos Santos. Any final words from you?
No, I'd just like to thank everybody for attending and encourage you all to go ahead and participate. Marcelo, the second Marcelo C. Looking forward to the grand opening you guys have coming up. I have to go ahead and RSVP to that, but thank you both for being here, Tim and Marcelo.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Thank you all. Everybody have a good week and stay healthy. Enjoy the weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.